So let's take a little stroll around the olive GUI. I've got my key monitor down here to show you the keys that I press. You've got the projects window. You also have a media viewer window. So if you have a piece of media selected, you'll see it in this window. You have an effects tab or window, the window for the sequence viewer, and the section for your timeline. The timeline has some icons here, the select tool, the box select or edit tool, the ripple tool, the cut when you want a razor tool when you want to cut a video at a certain section. You've got the slip tool, the slide tool, the hand tool, transition tool, snapping. You can have it on or off. It's on by default. And if you want to zoom in on your timeline or zoom out, you can use these magnifying glasses here. You can also record audio. I've had no luck with this in the beta version at all. I would suggest using Audacity if you want to record audio and put it in one of your videos. So these are the different sections. This section here is for your timeline. We'll see what this plus does in just a second. So let's just use this GUI interface and make a very simple video out of some clips that I've downloaded. So you can just go to the internet and go to Pixabay, download some free videos. I typed in here, I believe it was party. I got a whole bunch of different videos, a couple of girls dancing and the band playing and whatnot. But go ahead and grab some videos from Pixabay. Go to Free Music Archive and maybe download a dance track that you like. That's all I did. I downloaded the videos and a couple of music files and I put them in a folder called projects. So here are the videos that I downloaded and a couple of different pieces of music. And I think I'm probably going to be using this Goodbye Outer Space one for the video. And again, you can get the files right off from the web at Pixabay and Free Music Archive. So go ahead and pause the video and download something that you want to put together, and we'll just kind of piece something quick together so you can see how to use the GUI interface.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Okay, we're back, and now we're going to create that small, simple music video out of the files that we downloaded from the previous video on the GUI interface. The first thing that we want to do is we want to import the media into the project section of the GUI. So there's a couple of ways we could do that. We could go up to File and we could click on Import. We could navigate to where the files are located. We could select and shift select the bottom so that I have all of the video files there, and then click Open. And I can do the same thing with the music files. I'm going to cancel out of that. Or you can just right click in the project section, which brings up a menu, and you can click on Import and do the same thing. So I'll import it all. So I'm clicking on the top, shift clicking on the bottom. That means I want all of those files put into my project section here. And you can see that I've already done that. So I don't have a timeline yet, but I have all my media. So I see that pretty much I've got some of my media that's running at 50 frames per second, 25, 30, and the rest is 25 frames per second. I guess I have to decide on what frame rate I want to use for the project. So you can right click in this project area and create a new sequence. And this is where you can set the settings. I know that the files I downloaded were all 1920 by 1080 as far as the width and height. So I know I want to use that, but my frame rate could be anything I want it to be. Right now it's 29.97 frames per second. Most of my video in here is 25 frames per second, so I'm going to switch this from 29 frames per second to 25 frames per second. And I'm going to leave the audio where it is. That's a pretty good sampling rate, and I'm going to click OK. And as soon as I do that, you see that my timeline sequence section automatically gets a couple of rows. It has a row for me to place in a video and a row for audio. So let's go ahead and look at one of these pieces of video. Let's look at the look at the girl videos. So if I double click on the girl video, you would think that I would see it somewhere in the GUI, and I don't see it because by default the effects tab is selected. So instead of the effects tab, you need to select the media viewer tab. So now I'm looking at the media that I'm selecting over here. So if I want disco and I double click on it, it shows me the disco section. And if I want to see it, I can just click play and it will play the media that I have in the media section. Same thing, if I switch to girl, press the play button, you'll see that section played as well. So one of the cool things about the media viewer section is I can set in and out points for my video. Maybe I don't want to use the entire length of this video, so I can choose an in and out point in my media viewer here. So I can grab this cursor and scrub to where I would like it to start. Maybe I want it to start with the light right here on her face. So then you can click the I for where you want to start your video, and then you can scrub to where you want it to end. Click and drag it to where you want it to end, and maybe I want it to end right there. And then you press the O button. Now you have your in and out point. Now, if I want to use this video, I can left click and drag that down into my timeline. So what I've done is I've basically edited this video, shortened it up a little bit, dragged it down into my timeline. So now I have another cursor that I can scrub with down here. And then when I play the sequence, you'll see that it moves along the timeline sequence of the videos where I place them down in the timeline. So all right, so I placed one video down there, but I have no audio whatsoever. So what if I want to put some audio in there? I can do the exact same thing. Let's double click on this one here, Goodbye Outer Space, and you'll see that it'll play it for me if I click play. And I'm going to drag this down here and I'm going to put it in the timeline for the audio right here. And let's see what happens. Now what it did is it just overwrote, and why is that? I would have thought that this audio file was audio only, but it appears that this audio file also has video or an image with it as well. So we need to do something so that we don't lose the previous video that we had there, right? So let's Control Z to back out of that. And one of the things we could do is we could see how it split the tracks. I've got one at the top and then one at the bottom. I can bring it all the way to the beginning of my timeline and let go. And what it did is it split the audio and the video and put the video on a second track and the audio on the second track down at the bottom. Now I may not want that, so how can I get rid of it? Well, you can select the audio here, right click, and you can click on link or unlink. So what we want to do is unlink the video with the audio at this point. So click off from it anywhere, left click somewhere in your timeline so that it's not selected anymore. And then left click again on this top part, which would be the picture of the guy that made this music. Now you can press the delete key and get rid of that. So now you're left with just the audio, the music portion of this media file. So now you can drag this up to the first audio timeline and you're good to go. Now if I scrub to the beginning and I press play over here, should be all set. One of the things that I like to do is I like to keep a little bit of black before my movie starts, less than a second sometimes, so you can left click and drag this over a little bit as well as your music. And I want to put a color here. The color is going to be black. So how can I do that? This plus sign allows you to do multiple things. One of the things that you can do when you click plus is you can use a solid color here. You can create a title, solid color, or bars. So I'm going to left click on it and tell it I want to create a solid color. Now when I click that, you might think that it would add some solid color where your cursor is. It doesn't do that. It's basically waiting for you to tell it, Olive saying, okay, you want a color, where do you want me to put it? So now you can left click and drag where you want to put that solid color. So now I put the solid color here, and if I click on it, bring the cursor over there, you'll see that that solid color is red, and I don't want it red, I want it black. So let's go to the effects tab over here. Right now I'm in media viewer, right? Click on the effects tab and you'll see that I've got a solid color here and the color is red. Left click on that color, select black, click select, and there you go. It's black. So now if I come down here, scrub to the beginning, and I press play, it'll be black for a little bit. That's probably too long. And then immediately start my video. Now that's pretty harsh, going right from black to my first media clip. I might want it to fade from black into that clip itself. So how could I do that? One of the ways that you can do that is just by right clicking and adding a default transition. So what that's going to do, if I scrub through here, you see it starts out just not totally black and then slowly fades in. So now if I bring it to the very beginning again and press play, it'll fade in. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, I don't have to come up here to use these buttons up here. This will bring me to the beginning. This one will reverse one frame, forward one frame, or go to the very end. And you can click play here. Now, one of the shortcuts that you can use is the space bar. If you watch I'm down here in the timeline. If I press the space bar, it's the same thing as pressing play. And I can press space bar again to stop it. It comes in very handy. It'll help you when you're editing later on. All right, so I've got the video of the girl, and now let's maybe have a shot of the concert itself. So I double clicked on it. I don't see anything here. Let's go back to the media viewer. Okay, we're here. And let's just see how long this is. It's not too bad. That's probably a good length. Let's drag that down in here and take a look. Well, now that I see it, it might be a little bit too long for what I want to do. So we can left click and drag this to shorten the clip a little bit. Shorten it by just dragging it over. Now I want to fade in and out from the girl into this dance video. Again, you can right click and you can add the default transition. So now when I play this, it should just fade right into the dance, and it does. Now, one of the things that I probably don't need, as I might not need the fade out in this one, but it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to just keep it there. That's fine. All right, so it goes into the concert, and it sounds like the beat starts right there. So I think I'd like a change to happen right when that beat starts, right in there. So let's go ahead and slide this over. Let's click on the cross dissolve and bring that over a little bit first, and we'll bring that one over. All right. So now let's see, what do I want to do? I started out with a girl, then this dance mix here. Maybe I want to have one of the disco balls at this point in time. Maybe this disco ball. Put that disco ball in. Keep it about the same length. I'm looking for only about a few seconds worth of video in between the shots. I'll set a default transition in there, and we'll take a look at it. And you'll hear that the audio just cut out. That's a bug in Olive. And one of the ways to avoid that bug is to add a little bit of a silent clip to the end of your video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the razor tool, and I'm going to cut our audio, because I know I'm not going to use this whole audio file. I'm going to cut the tail end of it off. So I'm going to use the razor. I'm going to cut that. Then I'm going to grab the select tool again, which is up here. Or you can hit the V key. So I'll select it. I'll select this end. I'll press the delete key to get rid of that. Now, how do I make a solid color again? Do you remember? Yep, that's right. Hit the plus key. Solid color. Now it's saying where do I want to put that? We're going to put it at the very end for now. Just about that long. Again, we want it to be black, so let's hit the color, go up to the effects section, make that black, click select, there we go. Now the audio should not cut out. Let's take a quick listen here and see. And it did cut out. Audio's a little bit buggy, so sometimes you have to stop it and start playing it again. to get it to play all the way through. Just hit the space bar and hit it again. All right, so we're going to shorten this clip up a little bit. We'll grab, I think this is the second video of a different person. It is. Let's grab that, put it here. It looks to be about the size we want. Let's take a look at it. We'll scrub through it. Yeah, so I want it to end somewhere around there. So I will do that. Right click. I'll create another transition. And at this point, let's just end the video. I think I've got a clip where everybody's just clapping their hands. Let's put that in there. Seems to be about the right length. Let's add the default transition. Now this is where I want my video to end. So let's drag the music to the very end here. And you can see that I'm not fading in and out with the audio. Maybe I'd like to do that. You can do the same thing. Right click here, do a default transition. So it'll slowly ramp up and then it'll again go from full volume to no volume whatsoever. And I want to drop over the solid color. I only want it to be for about a second or two. And this one probably can be shortened as well. So let's move that color over. And you'll see now I got all this stuff that I want to move over all at once. You can left click and drag select over everything, making sure that everything, you got to highlight over everything and then left click and drag it over to where you want it. And there you go. It's nice and compact. So let's go to the beginning. Let's do a quick check here. Looks cool so far. Fades into the disco ball. Picture of the girl and a picture of everybody having fun, and it should fade out, and then that's it. That's our whole video. But I'd like a title right in here. So let me click off. Everything was selected. Let's move that in. I'd like that lined up with this. There you go. What I would like to do is I would like to put a title in right here, right while that disco ball is going. So how could I do that? Well, there's a couple of ways you could do that. You can put a title right on a media clip, and I'll show you that first. So select the media clip you want to put a title on, go to your effects, and then you can click on here, go down to render, and click on either rich text or text. I prefer text. There's some pros and cons to both. With rich text, you can put multiple lines of text in different colors and different sizes. With text, it's just simple text that you can do one style, one color, but you can see it when you're adjusting the size, and that's why I like it. So let's go ahead and click that one. Let's pick haircut, I guess, and you'll see that right here. It says simple text. Let's change that to party 2019. You'll see it instantly changed it. Now let's increase the size by just left clicking on the size and moving it up. So let's move it up to about there. I would like the color maybe to be, let's see how green looks. And maybe we want there to be a outline on it. Let's change that to yellow. Oh, actually, black didn't look too bad, did it? We'll keep it at black. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like that. Now, because this scene is so dark, I don't think adding a shadow to this would give us much benefit, but I'm going to show you it anyways. Click on shadow. Let's just change the color of the shadow to maybe blue. Let's change the distance, and now you see the blue kind of going down away from the original text. So maybe we want it to be about there. And if you wanted to, you can change the angle at which the shadow is located by moving the cursor here in the shadow angle. If you left click on it and you move it around, you'll see the shadow kind of move around the original text. So you can put it at an angle that you're happy with, and you can also change the softness. If you want to have it fade a little bit, you can change the softness with the shadow softness. And if you don't want it quite so harsh, you can use this opacity and make it so it doesn't show up quite as much. Or maybe we want it to be like that. All right, so we'll click to the beginning of this and we'll see how that looks. Party 2019, and we lost the audio, so space twice. That's pretty cool. That would definitely work. I don't have a problem with that at all. Now that's one way. So let's say I wanted to do it a different way. What text I used, what font? Haircut. Okay, I just wanted to see what it was. So let's turn off the text so that we don't see it anymore. All you gotta do is just hit this check mark and the font will go away. Now you can use this plus down here to create another piece of media that you can use in your video. And I'm going to click on title. It's going to say, where do you want to put this title? Well, I want to put it right here. So I'm going to left click and drag from here to here, and it's going to create a title for me, and you'll see it right there. Now, the title that it creates when you hit this plus box is a rich text title. So I don't really want to use this. Like I said, there's some pros and cons to this. I like being able to see the size change as I'm moving the slider, and you can't see that in rich text. So if you want to make text larger, then you have to hit edit text in rich text. Make sure everything's highlighted and then use your slider here. But as you see, as I'm moving the slider, the text is getting larger or smaller, but I don't see that on my media, so I kind of have to guess at what size I want it to be. I know it should be around 180 or something, so I'll hit 160 there. I know that we used air something for the font type, so let's select that and let's type in A. And let's see if we can get air something here. Air, forget what it was. Air cut. There you go. Haircut. I'm going to click. Well, it's all highlighted. I guess I did have it green, right? So we're going to select green color and click select and click OK. Then finally, after you hit OK, you'll see how it looks in here. So that's why I like the other version of the text, just regular text, not the rich text, because I want to be able to slide the size of it and see it rather than wait until I click OK to see it. The advantage of this is, let's say I wanted to add some more text down below this, more text, and I wanted that to be in red. You can select that text, the more text, change the color, click select, and OK, and you'll see that here. So now I've got a green section of my text and a red section. So with rich text, you can change the size, you can change the font type, as well as some other things. So there's some advantages to rich text as well. It's just I prefer to use the simple text just so I can see everything a little bit better. And the shadows and everything work the same way. In this one, you have shadows as well as the angles and the distance and the softness. Works the same as the simple text. So if I wanted to shadow, I could, again, turn on shadow, and I think we pick blue. Click select. What angle do I want it? I'm not sure until I get some distance here. There you go. Put some distance on it, and there you go. Again, the text just is snapping on and snapping off. It'd be nice if I could have a nice dissolve in there. You guessed it, just right click on it, add that default transition, and then you'll get that nice smooth in with your text and then out. One of the things that I would like to do though is I don't like it to start fading in with this cross dissolve between these two pieces of media. I want it to start a little later, so we can do that. Just move your dissolve over and to where you like it, and I think that's going to look pretty good. Yeah, fades in there and then fades out with the cross dissolve between those two, and I like that. That's pretty good. So okay, we've completed the movie that we wanted, and how do we export it? Click on File, click on Export, and it brings up this window. You can pick what type of container you want it to be. It's going to default to an MPEG-4, which is pretty typical with almost all videos out on the internet now. I want to render the entire sequence. I want it to be 1920 by 1080. It's going to be 25 frames per second. And this is the key here. This is where you set your quality. You might think that if you set this number to a higher number, you're going to have a higher quality video. And that's not how this works. Not very intuitive at all. So if you lower this value, and I always render it out between 12 and 15. So change your quality to a 15, you'll get a much higher quality video when you're done. So change the quality to in between 12 and 15. Leave everything as it is. The audio is fine. And click on export. It's going to ask you where you want to put it. And I'm just going to put it in the same folder where I have all my source files. I'm going to name it Party 2019. I'm going to click save. And as soon as I do, it's going to start rendering. Olive renders pretty fast. So I'm actually pretty impressed with how fast it renders compared to a lot of the other free and open source software nonlinear editors out there. I use Kdenlive still just because this version of Olive is in beta. I cannot wait until this is no longer in beta and we have the full release version, because I'm sure I'll be switching. There's many things that I see them working on that will make this nonlinear editor top of the line. It's going to use node-based connections. Now, what does that mean? That means that you're going to be able to do all kinds of things with this program, just like Nuke, Fusion, Natron, though they're all node-based compositors. You'll be able to do similar things in this once they do the rewrite. I know they're currently in the rewrite for this, and a lot of things are going to change. But even as it sits right now, this is a very powerful editor, and highly suggest it for anybody that is new to video editing. So let's go ahead and pull that file up and see what it looks like. Let's pull it up. Turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Again, there's slight problems because Olive is in an alpha version, but it gets better every day, right? That's the thing about FOSS. Look for a new version. If there's a new version out there, it's probably fixed any issue you may have. So that's how you edit with Olive. And if you haven't checked it out, check out my videos on how to add extra effects to Olive, because we dive a little bit deeper into the crazy end of things in that video. So go ahead and check that one out. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.